Hello everyone, I'm Ernie and I am so glad you're here with us today. Today we are back in Virginia City, Nevada. Chris, Ralph, and myself came out here to get some ore, and local geologist and friend of mine and a friend of ours, Alex, came to join us. And I've had several of my subscribers ask, hey Ernie, when are you going to have Chris and Alex back on your channel to do an episode, because we learned so much from just listening in their conversation. Well, these two guys are here today and they're gonna give us a lesson, and let's get to it.
There's probably a lot of districts that have significant silver and gold that probably, oops, I should put this on the outside. There we go. Scoot that up. There. How's that? Anyway, where there's probably minor tellurides, but you know, it's just not seen because there's so much other sulfide that you just don't, it just doesn't get noticed.
Right. Well, I think that's what happened
if you're
here.
in a district where there's gobs of tellurides, then
like Cripple Creek.
Cripple Creek or Kalgoorlie,
right.
Some of the other places like that.
Well, here, I mean, on the Comstock, there's so many sulfides, but some samples went in that was very sulfide heavy, looked like chalcopyrite and sphalerite, and there were silver mineral, there's some stephanite and galena, and some of that stuff, the chalcopyrite didn't quite look like chalcopyrite, and there were other minerals, and like I said,
there's some of the stuff here where the chalcopyrite looks pale.
Yes.
And
that could be
usually chalcopyrite is dark. It's darker than you want to wander over and pick up some rocks?
Yeah, sure. Well,
it's often darker than pyrite and more deeply yellow, and a lot of times when you have yellow tellurides, they're pale.
Yes. And I actually...
Now, it doesn't mean that everything that's pale is telluride.
Right, exactly. But I did have a friend that did, you know, he scraped some, put it in a crucible, smelted it down, and got a little bit of gold. And his thought was either it's very auriferous chalcopyrite or it could potentially be calaverite.
Yeah, or could be a mix.
Could be a mix. It could be sylvanite.
Right.
But we did have some geochem done on some stuff here on the Comstock that was rich in sulfides and different things. And there was greatly elevated tellurides and selenium.
Yeah.
So I was really shocked by that. It could mean...
I don't know that they've ever had nominite identified from Comstock ore, but it would shock me if there wasn't at least some.
Yeah, and I really believe that there's probably quite a bit of hessite.
Yeah, that also wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, they're both possible. Sylvanite isn't out of the question. But yeah, this region, there's just so much activity here that took place and so many events of mineralization. There's some darker sulfides right there, and there's something right in there. I like seeing this druzy quartz with a lot of the sulfides. I tend to see a little bit more gold with the druzy quartz.
Take a look, because there's some kind of a little spot in that thing.
I saw that. I saw that.
I apparently took my loop out of my truck, and
oh no,
it's on my desk somewhere. No, that's fine.
It looks like chalcopyrite to me.
Okay.
I do have a friend that found a sample of some of this stuff around here that he slabbed some of it, and he actually had a big chunk of gold inside with all the sulfides.
Really?
Yeah. I shouldn't say gold, it was electrum.
I'm going to give this a hit and see what it looks like on the inside.
All right.
That wasn't very cooperative, was it?
No, that soft, moist ground doesn't want to cooperate.
Here, we'll try on this thing.
That guy's a little flatter. There you go.
Oh yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I see all the sulfides, the chalcopyrite, looks like some sphalerite,
Right.
Argentiferous galena, most
Probably
likely.
galena in there too.
And it has that sulfur smell to it.
Characteristic sulfur smell.
Oh, there's a big cluster of sphalerite right there.
Yep.
Have a sniff, Ernie. Here, take a whiff. You smell that sulfury smell?
Yeah, it smells really good. I like it.
Yeah, that's that fresh sulfide smell.
All right,
When you pick
let's
up a
try.
good piece and you break it like on that one, you can just smell that sulfur.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That one looks like it might have some too.
Well, and an interesting thing, a lot of times silver minerals on the oxidized portions, they'll bleed a little bit. Like you'll have the, I'm not sure exactly which ones do that or not. I think pyrrhotite or polybasite do.
Right.
You'll have like the very oxidized looking rock. You'll have your darker spot of sulfide or sulfur salts, and then a lot of times you'll have a bleed out around that, and that's just the bleed out of the sulfide or sulfur salt minerals.
Think any of it's converting to chlorargyrite?
Could be. Oh, that one looks pretty good.
It's not as sulfide-y as you think.
Oh, no? Oh, there we go. Oh, a little bit.
I mean, it is. I'm not saying it's sulfide-free, but it's not the high-level
There's some of your
sulfides.
darker sulfides right in there.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at that. Yeah, very pale chalcopyrite. Yeah, that is something that I would be...
It potentially could be mistaken for chalcopyrite when it's actually a telluride.
Exactly. I'm going to pitch that one in your bucket because it doesn't look too bad. There's a really neat piece down here below that I would love to have. I'd love to find a saw big enough to cut it. It's it's a boulder about like that, just full of sulfides.
Oh, wow.
Big brecciated clasts with sulfides around them.
Where's it at?
It's down here. It might be buried by now. Yeah, just the top of it is exposed.
Like 5 inches.
Yeah, see there's a kind of that biggish reddish boulder just above the plants. There's a big pine cone underneath it.
Okay.
And that boulder right there it's really loaded. Really? Yeah. I always thought of trying to drive in here and hoist it out. But yeah, it's loaded pretty good.
And that's the one about a foot in front of the pine cone?
That is correct.
To the right, to our right?
Yes, that is correct.
I saw we'll cut that and then just use a chisel to split it open.
Yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of great things around here on the Comstock. And a lot of these dumps around here have very high grade ore still scattered about within the dumps. And after big storms like the one we had yesterday,
Right. I was thinking, yeah.
I found a piece in the wash alongside the street that had beautiful argentite and then chunks of gold almost the size of like grains of rice haloing the argentite. It actually detects. Like I can swing my gold bug over it and
Really?
Yeah. It's got pretty coarse gold with it.
I swung my detectors over this and never had any.
There's a lot of hot rock.
There's a lot of hot rock, and that's interfering with anything you're going to try and do with a metal detector.
Right. I think a lot of the galena potentially sounds off pretty loudly.
If you get a cluster of it, but usually the galena is kind of scattered through the through with the sphalerite.
Yeah.
And the sphalerite doesn't detect.
No. No. It's sometimes I've picked them up where I can feel how the weightiness of the galena.
Right.
And I'm
The
pretty.
sphalerite's pretty dense too.
Yeah, it is pretty dense. And a lot of the galena I do see here has that not quite cubic traditional structure. It's slightly rounded and slightly darker.
Okay.
And I think that might be because of the argentiferous nature of the galena.
Might change the crystal shape a little bit.
Habit just a little bit. But yeah, and after rain like this is a great time to come out and look for specimens because they're nice and washed off and
yeah, everything's clean.
Everything pops out at you.
But this particular spot's been pretty picked over.
Yeah. Yeah, I've run into other geologists out in this area that have been, they come out here and look for nice specimens.
Yeah. Yeah, that one I showed you,
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to crush that.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It's funny to think that this stuff was mined from like 2,000 feet down.
That's the impressive part, yeah.
They must have brought it up here and tested it and then decided whether or not they wanted to mill it.
Yeah. Well, in the presence of the chalcopyrite, the galena, and the sphalerite is all indicative of that zone below the highly mineralized zone. There is still silver and gold with it, but it's much like that Buchanan model where you have your mercury or antimony or arsenic rich top at the hot spring level, and then you have the high-grade gold silver a little bit further down in the what they call the boiling zone, or just below the boiling zone. And then below that zone you have your base metals, which would be the lead,
right,
zinc, and copper. But there can still be gold and silver in those zones, and economic gold and silver in those zones. And I think that was the case here. I think they probably had some economic gold silver in it.
Video where I've got already about 6 or 8 pounds of concentrate from this.
Right.
And I've got some here. I'm going to crush these and, demonstrate putting them in. And then I'm going to do a smelting thing and reduce the thing into silver.
Okay. Are you oxidizing the sulfides?
No, I'm going to use, I'm going to melt them until I get a matte, and then use iron.
Oh, okay.
To displace the silver.
Okay.
And it'll also displace the lead. And so the silver and lead will go into the lead button at the bottom.
Wow.
And then I'm going to collect the lead buttons and do because it'll be more than one smelt. Collect the lead buttons and then do a Parks process.
Oh, okay.
To separate out the
valuable metals
the
from
silver.
Right.
Oh, this is interesting. Take a look. There's some druzy and black something.
Oh yeah, see that.
Is it just oxidized pyrite, or is
it actually looks like oxidized arsenopyrite.
Really?
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
No, there's. Who's calling me? Yeah, there is a fair amount of I wouldn't say fair amount, but there is arsenic in
the rock.
In the rock, geochemically.
Yep.
It's not a greatly abundant, but it is there.
Oh, did you throw that down?
Yep, but I can hand it to you.
Okay.
There you go.
It's got enough other stuff
That it might be interesting.
Yeah.
I know there was also some good stuff right
some
back over here that
minerals here that
a friend of mine found. Here's that example of that bleeding out that I've seen silver minerals do.
Oh yeah.
Where it's in the rock, but it just kind of bleeds out in the oxidization.
It's like forming secondary sulfides.
Yeah. It etches it out. And I believe it's silver minerals that do that consistently. I don't know about other sulfides, but I have seen it with silver minerals.
Well, cerosite and andesite are both light colored. They're not black.
Yeah, and it is very sooty in appearance. When I look at it through my loop, I mean, it is just as black. Whoops, as black as could be. Yeah, if you want to look at it with the loop.
That's okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Have you guys made it to any other dumps?
No, I did filming this morning. I went down by the CNC shaft.
Okay.
And filmed a little bit down there, and actually talked to the lady who owns the house next door.
Oh wow.
But the dump that's below the CNC shaft is on property that's owned by Marshall.
Oh, okay.
I've never hunted down there on the CNC. Have you ever been down there?
I have not. And panning them would be interesting to know what comes out of it. How wide the ore body was at the surface. It was really massive. I'm pretty confident that that's in place.
I'm 99% sure you're right.
I don't think it's a boulder that's just there. It must have not been greatly mineralized, or they would have taken it, or it wasn't exposed, but...
Right. So, you know that the lode at this point is like, you know, hundreds of feet and a couple of 100 feet wide.
Yeah. The specific ore body, though, that they took here by hand was...
Right, but... I
mean, there was a lot of dilution in that portion, but...
And in the upper part up here, it seems to dip west.
Yeah.
And then as it goes underneath, it
curls back
and starts dipping east.
Yeah.
So this is basically where this zone came to the surface, you know, and the pressure was relieved. It wide out into a shape, a big wide Y shape at the top of the lode. That's why the old geologists thought that there probably wasn't more than 100 feet or so that was eroded off the top before it was discovered.
Yeah, I actually believe that there's not a lot gone. Because there's some people who hypothesize that there's hundreds of feet that are washed out.
It could be.
Could be,
But,
or even
but
1,000 feet.
the fact that it wise like this,
which is what you see classically. Again,
at
going
the
back
surface,
to the,
because you don't have the, down below you have the restraint of the rock holding the pressure in.
right.
But when it gets close to the surface, that restraint is relieved, and
And that is very similar to what the Buchanan model also shows.
yeah,
Base metal zone is kind of narrow, and then as it comes up and vents at the surface, it really gets wider and wise out.
and that's named after Larry.
Larry Buchanan, yeah. I
Right.
believe he came up with the model in 1980 or 1979. But don't quote me on that because I could be wrong on those dates. Ernie, you should find an image of the Buchanan model.
You could finally, I'm sure, find it with Google.
Yeah, it's on Google. You could just find an image of it, and because it's just a model image of a wide zone going down, tapering down, and it shows where boiling takes place, where high-grade gold and silver is deposited, where base metals are deposited, and at the very top are things like mercury, antimony, and arsenic are deposited in elevated amounts. And those zones, it's not a one-size-fits-all model. It's those lines between all the different areas can be blurred, so you can actually have high-grade gold actually in that very upper portion with the arsenic, antimony, and mercury. The Wahi pool in New Zealand, there's a hot spring pool, and at the surface it's precipitating kermesite, which is an antimony oxysulfide, and with that there's also a large amount of gold, and that is hot spring surface. So down below that, it's believed that there will probably be a high grade ore body possibly. Right. But right now the system is still active and alive and depositing metals.
Right, and so the same thing actually is over the hill at Steamboat Springs, just as the crow flies, like 10 miles from here.
Something like that.
And a number of geologists have guessed that, long ago, the Comstock looked like what Steamboat Hot Springs looks like now.
Absolutely.
And there's a whole bunch of little mercury prospects over there. And I told you that the guys who run the hot springs plant, the geothermal plant to generate electricity, that once a year or so, or 9 months, something like that, they have to clean out their thing because it gets stibnite deposited.
Yeah, the back pressure plate probably is just black with stibnite.
Yeah.
And then there's a hot spring plant in New Zealand.
I think they even get stibnite in their heat exchange tubes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be a problem.
Yep, that's why they have to clean it out.
There's a hot springs plant, or a geothermal plant in New Zealand where they have a very good problem where their back pressure plate gathers large amounts of gold and silver, and they have to clean that off.
Just depends on the chemistry of the liquid.
The chemistry of the liquid, the pressure changes, chemistry change.
Yeah, there's more quartz over here.
Yeah.
This little knob is
another parallel vein system.
Yeah, just part of the system.
It must have not been near as exciting, I would guess.
I mean, honestly, I think the system goes up as far as that outcrop, which is above even the top of this little pit.
Absolutely.
And then it goes downhill
a long way.
Yeah. There's a story, I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but it's in a history book. And somewhere around the turn of the century, like 125 years ago, there was a guy who had a house down below the pit here, and he decided to dig a cellar, just a root cellar to keep things cool.
Right.
And he dug in his basement, dug a root cellar, and hit just a little narrow zone of real high grade.
Oh wow!
And
that's incredible.
And so he started digging it out and surreptitiously taking it to one of the mills down in the Six Mile Canyon, and he was getting good money out of it.
Oh my goodness!
Until eventually the guys who owned the Ophir found out and
said, "Hey, don't do this anymore. That's ours."
Yeah, no, that's our gold and silver.
Wow. Yep. So someone can have
you can have little parallel bits.
Yep. And people can own surface rights for their property, but they might not own the mineral rights below the surface.
That was the case for that guy.
Yep, that's what it sounds like. But this one might have some. This one looks a little different. A little more oxidized. Well, you can sure smell the sulfides just coming off the dump from being
just
wet.
Off of this, yeah.
Just from being wet.
Being wet.
Oh wow, are we in for another storm?
I looked at the radar and I looked at the clouds just a second ago, and it appears that things are moving south.
Okay.
And so that would mean that storm front is going
that
away
way
from us.
Wow.
I could recheck my phone, because sometimes the direction does change. Yeah, it's moving south by southeast.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, somebody dug.
Wow, there's another pile of stuff right up here. Oh my goodness. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can find an old ore pile or set-aside pile where we took some high grade or decent grade and set it off to the side to process for later, because they were in the process of doing very rich ore at the time. So you can find things that are multi-ounce per ton gold that's been set aside. That they forgot about, yeah. Just because you have quartz doesn't mean it is of any value. There is quartz laying all over the place that looks pretty low grade, and the old miners thought it was pretty low grade, so they just tossed it.
Sugary.
Yeah, there's actually a term called sacroidal quartz. It's to describe a quartz texture. And when the old timer said the quartz that looked like sugar or sugary quartz, it was the quartz that was sacroidal in nature, and it tends to have more open space, and in a lot of districts, gold seems to precipitate with that sacroidal quartz. Hoping to see a piece that has a bunch of sulfides that they missed from the upper zone, because the sulfides from the upper zone has a lot more gold with it. But I am not seeing it. Stuff that has more quartz and clay in it than wall rock. Huh. Got more mineralization in it. Nope. That this district produced 8.5 million ounces of gold.
Yeah, I've seen a thing that was done, I think in the 20s, where they calculated the value of the silver production and the gold production, and it was like 55% silver, 45% gold. It was only, the value was only a little in the edge of the silver. I mean, of course, by ounces, by weight, the silver is hugely silver, but by value, it was only a little advantage to the silver over gold.
I always tell people, just rough guesstimate, the overall gold production. I mean, we know it's 8.5 million ounces, but I'm guessing with the numbers from the early placer miners plus the dredges, it might be closer to 9 million ounces.
Yeah.
And then there you have all these little obscure hard rock gold mines.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, what did those produce, and were their numbers? Because there's some that there's no totals. They just hauled their ore to the mills in the 20s.
Right.
And so I'm guessing there's close to 9 million ounces that came out of the Comstock, maybe even more than that, but it was a very gold rich district. I mean, Goldfield itself only produced what, 4.5 million ounces? 4 million
plus, yeah.
Yeah, so for the size that the Comstock is, it was very gold rich.
Well, it had some really big, really rich ore bodies.
Yeah. And not all of them were silver rich, like
some of them were more gold rich and some of them were more silver rich. Yeah. But that calculation in the history book that I saw, they'd averaged everything, from whatever records they had.
Right.
And it was like 55 silver, 45% gold.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was pretty close.
Yeah.
For value.
Yeah.
Not for weight. The weight would be heavily in favor
of
it's
a remarkable deposit. Now, there's not very many like it, if any like it, on Earth. There's a few down in South America and Mexico that are similar, but maybe not near as much gold, or way more silver.
Right.
But as far as
there's some that's really a district Whereas this is really, well, not everything in the Comstock district is one structure, but the vast majority of the production is from one structure. Yeah.
Yeah. There's different periods of mineralization, and there's several sub-parallel structures, and then you have the network of east-west and north 50 east crossing structures, and they all produced. They had mineralization with them. A lot of the east-west structures were primarily gold, but I mean, like the big bonanza out through the Hardy vein and through the Ophir, the Mexican, the Sierra Nevada. That was a big northeast structure, and it did have a lot of gold, but it also had silver with it too.
Yeah.
Well, this wraps up this episode with our conversation with Chris and Alex, and I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I've learned so much from them, and I hope you did also. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would like to encourage you to spank that like button and to share this on your channel so others can learn what Chris and Alex talked about. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, I would love to encourage you to subscribe and to become part of our AU family. We would love to have you in the family. I would love to communicate with you. We're so thankful that you're here, and we deeply appreciate your support, and we will see you on the next one.